Cheers and welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks. I'm at
Howdy,
Ref
Malt.
Marsh. Clump, go ahead and tell the people about yourself.
I'm at Eric Crybaby Clump on Twitter, and I interrupt March.
A lot of that was wrong.
Yep.
A lot of that was incorrect data. It's fine. I try to let you take a little bit of responsibility and say your own name, and that was too much.
Man, I don't even know why I'm resubscribing to fucking this right now.
I shouldn't have put that kind of pressure on you. I shouldn't have surprised you with that. That's on me.
Bastard. As I
you do this.
resubscribe to it. Fine.
Are we not live? All right, everyone, hold on. Everybody, calm down. Yeah, we're live. I see us. All right, we're live. All right. Thank you, everyone, for staying tuned. For everyone who just tuned out, you can come back now. We're still here.
Yeah. This
Clump.
is your Yo.
Go ahead. Say the thing you're.
Say my dumb joke. This is the #1 show in America if America watched it.
Yes, if America would watch this, it'd be #1. It also is our first episode. Every show is our first show because we can't figure it out, man.
Yep.
So yesterday we had AEW and NXT, so today that means we need a chaser.
Yep.
I know I need a drink. Clump, what's in your glass?
Pretty much ice cold coffee at this point. Not that it was ice. It's just been a long day.
Yes. Left out coffee. So this is a bottle I got from my sister a while back. None of it's in English. And some of these symbols I don't recognize at all. I see umlauts, but it's definitely not in German. So I'm not sure what it is, to be honest.
Does it have those like backwards ends and stuff in it? So like Russian?
No backwards ends. There is the A and the E meshed together, but there's also umlauts, which umlauts in the German language means it would be that symbol otherwise. So the fact it's got both of them is completely interesting to me. It does have a website, www.nynordisk.dk.
Denmark.
Is that Denmark?
Denmark.
NYNORDISK.DK. Denmark? I thought it might be, I don't know why I thought it was like Norwegian. Maybe because the word on here is Nordisk, and that sounds like Nordic. But that's blatant guessing wildly with no information. Yeah. .dk is Denmark. All right, so what's that, Danish then?
This is a really long
Yes.
intro to what you're drinking.
It is. We're putting over the drink.
Is it just schnapps?
It's just regular schnapps.
Yes.
Schmucks.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Schnapps, right on.
It smells sweet. So
Welcome
maybe.
if you're just tuning in for the first time.
Oh, people are coming in. Hey, guys. Hey, welcome to the show. Tell us in the chat what you're drinking. I'm drinking some sort of Denmark drink that I don't know what it is, man. Hippafe? I don't know, man.
I want you to take a sip of it, and I want to see the reaction to it.
Let's do it. I poured it a minute ago because I really wanted it to be on ice.
No. Just see how bad this is. And?
What is it?
How close to floor cleaner is it?
I can't tell if it's corked.
Alright, why don't you just have the hot toddy?
It tastes like wood, but also I think I taste mold. I think it might have gotten corked. Unless this is what they drink in Denmark. I mean,
It's
that doesn't
possible.
smell great.
Alright,
They're
have
strong
the hot
stock.
toddy instead. Have some of the hot toddy instead.
Oh,
I don't know why you did that.
I thought it was a gift.
Bad one.
I mean, sometimes gifts are meant as jokes.
I
Yeah.
feel like my throat is like
Okay.
my whole throat just like is dry now, and it's not like Like, I think
Are
I
you
burned out the inner lining of my throat.
Do you have like any hobbies you do that involve like caustic chemicals? Maybe it's like a fancy artisan wood polish or something.
I wouldn't second guess that. If you gave this to me as a sip and said that's wood polish, I'd go, "Oh."
You're a dick.
I wouldn't have said like, "Dude, there's no way it tastes like whiskey." I'd be like, "Oh, okay. That explains the cedar taste." Well, I have a full glass of this now and no other glasses, so and I'm almost out of ice. Oh, I got my Bad Dragon glass. This show brought to you by Bad Dragon.
BadDragon.com for all your. Just go find out what they sell needs.
Whatever you need.
That's not.
Whatever you need of a specific need.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get a new drink. Clump.
For all your kinky toys, go to Bad Dragon.
Yeah, show's not actually brought to you by Bad Dragon, but if you know anybody at Bad Dragon, we are looking for sponsorships. And hey, man, I'm wide open to conversation.
That's
Oh
a
my
bad.
God.
About
That's a bad
sponsorships.
intro
Wait,
for
whoa.
that commercial.
What? What?
Bad
If you ever
Dragon,
wanted
wide
to
open.
Feel what a Coke can inside you feels like. Bad Dragon.
Yeah, hit,
okay.
slide in them DMs, Bad Dragon. I'm open.
No.
Let's talk.
No.
What?
Don't do that.
That's
No.
is that not how you get sponsorships?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not great at getting sponsorships. I'm not gonna lie. Clump.
We just lost a viewer, so.
We just lost one. Well, it's because they're Googling real quick. They're finding that website. They'll be back. They'll
They
be
don't know
back.
how to work tabs. That's okay. Well, they'll come back. You know.
Yeah,
You get those people
Clump.
where they just open new windows. Yo.
that's true. Did you have any news that you wanted to hit?
We didn't talk about this on Tuesday's show, but we saw the new release trailer for The Mandalorian, and
True.
we had heard that Sasha Banks would be in it, and we saw that Sasha Banks appears to be a Sith.
You don't know that. She's just in a cloak, dude. Jedis wear cloaks too. She might not be
but it's
Seth.
like she's a Seth.
She might not be a Seth. And I'll tell you this, we didn't see her with a lightsaber. We don't know. Until you see the color of that blade, dude, I don't know. All she did was stare down the Mandalorian. And I'll tell you, Mandalorian, he's not wanted by good and bad people, like specifically. He's not on the side of the Jedis. That could easily be a Jedi who's trying to get back the stolen baby.
I'm just trying to think of like a Jedi joke that is equivalent to the Seth versus Sith thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
you seem
Good job.
well done. I'm excited to see Sasha in there. I want to see how she does.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked
I'm
cool.
just and just seeing any person in the professional wrestling industry go into other acting, it's exciting because we have so many, we know these people can act. We know they can do a lot of things that are really unique that you don't see in Hollywood. So it's always good to see like, oh yeah, they're getting a call out. Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about it. The show was put together really well. Anyone who didn't watch season 1, if you like Star Wars world at all, it's definitely fun to watch. But you also don't have to be super into Star Wars, I don't think, to like it. But obviously some of their lore makes a little more sense if you are. But really well done, so I'm excited to see her in that universe. If we've got Sasha in the Star Wars universe, and before Becky went to go have a baby, I believe there was an announcement, or at least rumors, that she had signed a deal with Marvel. I just think it's time we put Bailey in anything with the Muppets. Like the next Muppet movie should have Bailey in it.
I would be way down for that. That'd be awesome. But we have to like.
There's a new Muppet show, right? Muppets Now. She could be in there. I'm just saying, guys. Keep that conversation going. Keep it open.
Yeah. What would Charlotte go in?
Who?
God damn it.
She was in that Psyched movie, remember?
Oh God. Ugh.
Well, I really like that show, Psyched. And she was in the movie for it, so it's like that still works for me. It's not Scrubs, but you know.
I mean, I don't think it counts if you're on a show and or a movie done by the same effing network that you work for.
It absolutely counts. Ask Hulk Hogan what made him famous. What?
Turner Properties.
Turner Properties.
Turner Properties. Yeah.
Let's see. I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was say other than that, I don't got a heck of a lot of otherwise the news. What do you got?
The only thing I have for news is something we can hit when we start talking about NXT because it's part of the NXT world.
Yeah.
But we can get right into AEW if you want.
Yeah, AEW.
I had a few things written down. I was kind of taking notes as we went. I feel like getting some stuff out of the way real quick. Matt Hardy in a backstage injury angle, I did not like.
Yeah, no, that seems needless and more, honestly, I don't even want to say needless. That just seems rather negative. There was they're continuing this. That was the kind of injury that you just stop, move on. That sucked. That happened. Move on.
Mm-hmm. And now they're putting him in that backstage injury angle. To me, I felt like for someone who was verbally bashing the WWE for utilizing Jeff Hardy's sobriety as an angle, and someone who was so vocally saying, I'm so glad I'm not at a company that would use something real life like that, and then for them to turn around and utilize so close to the actual scary injury he had taken, I think it's, to me, it's equally bad. If you feel that one was tasteless, you got to feel that the other one was as well. And at least with Jeff, it seemed to come from him, according to every interview that we've seen with him. And Jeff was trying to tell a story about overcoming his past. This was more about trying to take the heat off the company for an injury they just completely overlooked.
And I think that's what you nail there is if we're going to talk about bringing real life into this and citing things that went wrong, you really have to walk a careful line.
Yeah.
You can talk about and make angles about events that occurred. Like, I think an angle of Stone Cold and Owen Hart regarding that botch would have been interesting, and it could have been done well.
They sort of did. Owen had that shirt for a few weeks. That was the Owen 316.
Means that broke your neck.
Yeah.
But they did it in a good way, I feel. Here, this was we know more, but it was a needless, really bad injury. In terms of coming off, I mean, it feels not like bringing up Eddie or bringing up Paul Bearer when he passed away, or bringing up Jeff's struggles. It feels like you said, it's covering our asses and trying to make it seem like it was okay when it was so clearly not, and it really should have just stopped.
Yeah,
I think if they'd done this angle and it came after they stopped the match because Matt Hardy got fucked up, I might be okay with it.
True. Mm-hmm. It's how the whole thing played out that was just not well. Producer's got something she wants to throw in.
Just playing devil's advocate. What if this was Matt's idea and he's like, oh, just I'll be on the ground. I won't even be in a match or anything, but just to keep the story alive. What if, let's say this is his idea?
Then it's tasteless and it's hypocritical, because he was the one who was saying he was glad that he wasn't with WWE because they were using his brother's sobriety in an angle, which was told by Jeff about his overcoming a demon. This is Matt Hardy. If it's Matt Hardy pitching it, then it's Matt Hardy saying, I know how we can cover your ass. I know how we can get heat off of you. And is that okay? I don't think so for me. Go ahead, Clint.
If that were the case, to producer's point, then, and I can get where that comes from, because that match came out of a botch where he took a chair that was not supposed to happen that bad. If that's the case and we're going to continue this for this reason, I question creative at AEW as a whole.
Well, they don't have one.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I mean is I question who is calling the shots, because this is the kind of thing that it feels like we've totally thrown away any semblance of control, and that scares me, honestly, because this shouldn't have happened. And in a sense, unfortunately, I could see that being what happened here.
People have talked about the Attitude Era having really good stories for everybody, or even if it was a bad story, but everyone having a story. And people talk about the bad stuff that happened with Russo versus the good stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of people have talked about Russo's career outside of WWE was way more off the handle, and the conversation then became, is it possible that Russo is throwing out everything all the time, and it took a McMahon filter to say that's tasteless, that's too far, we're not going to do that, what if we dial it back a little bit? And it feels like at AEW they don't have any form of filter. It feels like they just shake their head and say, oh yeah, whatever you want, you know more than me. You know what I mean?
I do like that. Maybe this is something to kind of get into. I agree there. I think that comparison to Russo and WCW and TNA makes sense because Russo was an unchained dog, and he threw out everything, and you saw that. Yeah, no, there were some creative things at WCW that occurred, but God, it went downhill fast, and this idea, this thought process, it brings to mind other things within this storyline. I mean, whose idea was Sammy coming back the way he came back? Because I feel like WWE or a company with sense, or a company that had somebody, who was a lawyer, who had some TV writing, who maybe had some ethics, and I that sounds mean and nasty, but it is really upsetting to think about it, would have said, no, we're not bringing him back as this, like, awesome, whoa, surprise comeback. He's coming out in front of a screen saying that he's gone through training, he's apologized, and that he'll be returning soon. That's it. We're not doing it this way. We're not minimizing it, what he did. That's fucked up. And that, we've seen that time and again here. And I think, I like the talent in AEW. I will say this, I like him, but it gets to a point where you have to ask, would I prefer them on the indies? Would I prefer them somewhere else? Because I love these people. I love a lot of what's being done here, but there's enough small bad things that are done in such a way that I question more and more sometimes that I'm watching this.
Go ahead, producer.
And I wonder if that's just on the indies, you can quote unquote get away with more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then, that comes with the downside because we've had all the abuse scandal stuff pop up. So clearly not everything's flying now. Things are changing, but on this end, of the creative, I wonder if it's just passable.
Well, I think something that spoke to it too, because I think that was going to be kind of the theme, is that so much of AEW at this point feels like 100% the inmates are running the asylum. I don't think that there's anyone in the back who has I don't know, maybe whoever's in the back is a little too starstruck to tell people I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Maybe whatever that person says is a good idea because you're starstruck. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't even see it as a bad idea. You go, oh, well, if you say it, then it must be a good idea because I like everything you do ever. But does that translate all the time? And I think this is one where it doesn't. I think even if they asked Matt to do this, it was a bad call. Like, I don't need to see Matt Hardy in an injury angle when he just came off 2 serious injuries and is recovering from injury and is, quote, not cleared to wrestle. So he's backstage in these segments where he's pretending to be hurt in another way. I just don't think that that's necessary. And I think that for someone who was so outspoken against the idea of his brother's overcoming of a demon to be tasteless, that this doesn't exactly feel to be like right on par with where you should be. Like, I think they could be bigger than that.
I agree. I think what's happened too, and this is my theory, kind of going off of that, because we have a show that's run out of the idea of adversity, because a lot of what they've pushed is that we're different, we're this, we're that, we've had these struggles, we've had these fights, this didn't happen in WWE, this didn't happen for me there or there, which, great, but they're pushing against, it seems, having anyone who's a voice to the contrary. And while, we've heard all the stories and the ideas of Vince McMahon being, the audience of one that produces, and if he doesn't like, he doesn't put it out there. But if you don't have somebody who's arguing against you that you can't pitch to, then we're throwing everything out.
Yeah.
And if we're throwing everything out, we don't have quality control. We don't have a sense of ethics. We don't have a sense of taste. And again, I know that sounds really shitty to say, and I'm not saying AEW is unethical, but I'm saying that they've done some things where it's just like it's so close to being a smart move.
Yeah.
But in a small little mistake that they make it the worst thing ever. And it unfortunately comes out of a place that I would say also has become they won't acknowledge it, the idea that they are really doing a lot of what WWE does business wise and are maybe the worst traits of WWE.
Yeah.
Which to me are the way that WWE kind of openly pats itself on the back for everything it does. They're doing that too. Yeah. You know, and I appreciate the efforts, but I feel like more and more there's not been other things that back it up, and I'm kind of, you know, I don't feel like it's I feel like it's almost like a bizarro world WWE when it really is trying to be like something better. And
yeah, my brother was saying when he watched it, he goes, he said, I don't know what Tony Khan says in the back. He goes, I know the joke is that Vince McMahon always says that's such good shit. And he goes, but there's a lot you can watch in here where you just imagine that Tony Khan is saying whatever his version of that in the back. He's like, because it doesn't feel like it's not an audience of one. It just feels like it's a different audience of one.
Yes. And if I'm honest with you, I feel like Tony Khan says in a Vince impression that's such good shit.
I figured he'd just be giggling.
Yeah. I mean, he's a wrestling fanboy, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you have a passion for wrestling, being creative and doing stuff is good. I don't know if you have the right mind for it, dude. I don't
know. But let's get into this next topic because it kind of goes into the same similar conversation. Let's get into Miro. You weren't on this last week. Miro made his debut, and then on this week he had a little bit of a little video package with him and Kip Sabian where he was lifting a shitload of weight and looking great. Mm-hmm. It sounds funny. I thought he looked way better just shirtless than he did with that weird Mickey Mouse shirt last week. I know it was like an expensive shirt and everyone's talking about how like he was wearing like a $3,000 outfit. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I was like, I hope his gimmick isn't that he dresses casually yet expensively. I don't need that to be it. I want to know what you think about him being there. I want to talk to you a little about what he said about Jericho helping him with his promo. And I wanted to get your take on him coming out with the moniker, The Best Man.
I'm excited for him to be in wrestling.
Yes.
I want him to do a lot because, you know, in terms of talking about people that we feel get underutilized, and it is fucked up to do it because ultimately someone's on TV, we see them. I felt that Miro as Rusev was underutilized. I feel that it was hard to argue that he wasn't because of what he did, because of how he performed, and it just felt weird, and I wanted to see more of him often. So I'm happy to see him here. I don't like how he was introduced. I don't think the introduction of him in this segment, I mean, it felt like you took somebody who, in many ways, I feel like their frustration kind of came out of the angles that they were in and were bringing them in the same angle. So it felt like a parody of itself in an upsetting way. I do like the idea of a character being like the name The Best Man because I feel like he is a great worker. I don't know if there's another way to pull that out, but I don't know, man. I feel like it's creative, but it maybe didn't need to be this creative.
I felt
creative,
like I'm so excited to see what he's doing. I'm really excited to have him here. I feel like that I already want to strip off a lot of the stuff that's surrounding him. I feel like The Best Man is weird, simplistic, and I feel like it's kind of hokey. And I feel like that with someone like with the history of Rusev, where the problem with him is he was always thrown in weird little hokey angles, and you want to prove that you're not that, and that you're a place to come that someone can go and overcome all the dumb shit, then he should come in with a pretty serious angle. I feel like he shouldn't be surrounded by any of that stuff and maybe strip out all of that. I don't want to see him in a wedding thing. I don't want a shirt that says The Best Man on it. I don't get it. I don't know what he's going for there or why I should be excited about it. Here's the other thing is he's always talked very positively. He's always talked really positively about the WWE since he left. Here we go. My finger brushed the delete button and my notes just, but I found it. He's talked really positively about it. He said that he made a lot of money. He met his wife. He got to live out his dream. I mean, he got to wrestle with Hulk Hogan by his side. He got to pose with Hulk Hogan. Like, he was a little Hulkamaniac. So I understand what he means too. Like, he also got to wrestle John Cena in WrestleMania. That's a big deal. It wasn't like he had no big deals the whole time he was there. It wasn't like he was a job guy the whole time. He was kind of a job guy to the stars, but so was Mankind. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like horrible about his entire career at all. I do feel like that it definitely could have had a stronger second half of it, and I feel like there was certainly a time where it appeared the company had lost faith in the guy at the same moment that all of the fans had gained belief in the guy. So it was a little weird. But he said in an interview, I think it was on Busted Open, that Jericho's the one who wrote the bit about the glass ceiling and the brass ring. And he said, you should say this. And he goes, okay, but if I say this, I don't want to talk about it again. He goes, I don't have anything bad to say about them. I don't want to mention them. He's like, there's no reason to, right? And he goes, trust me, you say this, it's going to be big. So Jericho puts that into his promo, and then he's all like, all right, do I have to go clear this with someone? He goes, no, you just say it. And he goes, do I ask for forgiveness later? And he goes, no, you don't ask for anything. You just do it. And then he's all like, wow, this is crazy. I can't believe that creatives like this over here. Like, he was talking about how refreshing it is to not have to ask permission to do anything. And you're like, that inherently is the problem with half of this stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, the fact that there's nobody sitting around saying, hey, what do you guys want to do tonight? How can we make it the best? Versus just go do whatever the hell you want. Like, there should be a larger discussion. And the audience of one shouldn't be Jericho. If Jericho's the guy in the back calling all the shots like that, then there's a problem there too.
And
yes,
personally, sorry.
Go ahead, producer.
No, go ahead.
I didn't care for the whole glass ceiling. I was like, hold up, as a woman, no. You don't get to say that, man. Like, especially, that pissed me off because I was like, especially look at your division, your women's division. You got barely, people coming from different companies. Like, you don't even have a women's division, really. So for you to start saying, like, the glass ceiling, like, please don't take that from, all the struggles that women are still going through. Like, I'm sorry.
Minorities in general. I'll be honest with you. With as much as AEW seems all inclusive, they do not have a very diverse roster, and I don't think that's a purposeful thing. I don't think they're actively trying to keep out anyone, but I do think that when you look at the roster in and of itself, it's not as diverse or as spread out as I think it could be. I think there's a lot of great talent that's just not being utilized much, and you just don't know why, right? So I think that they're in a company now where there could potentially be something seen as a glass ceiling, even if it's unintentional. So yeah, that was a little weird.
I mean, we've had in WWE, WWE, I think has gotten to the point of doing this smartly where they're not as much patting themselves and glad-handing diversity. They're letting talent speak for themselves and present themselves, and they get comments on it, but they just kind of let it go. It occurred to me a few weeks ago watching SmackDown. I was watching a tag match where it was the Hurt Business, and it was Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, and the announcer and the ref.
Apollo.
And other than Vic Joseph, everyone who had a mic or was a performer was a person of color. Yeah. And it wasn't thrown out there. I was like, oh, that's cool. But it wasn't this like, look at what we're doing here. Look at this. And I feel like...
Yeah, it didn't seem forced. It wasn't like super highlighted. It just seemed like these are our talents and this is the story. Like, it felt like just part of it.
Yeah, diversity and acceptance is something of doing the work and not demanding their acknowledgement of it. It's just doing it because you do it,
Yeah.
Sorry, knowing that Jericho did that.
That line hits me weird too because you're right. There is a lot of people, and it seems like to Jericho, in a lack of awareness of the meaning to that, or whoever said that, because maybe we're getting it misquoted. It's very weird that it's being thrown to people, and it seems like the glass ceiling's WWE. That's fucked up because, shit, There are women who have come from WWE that you can make this argument for. There are women that have
Yeah.
come from the indies. There are people of color. There are people, in the LGBT community there that could say this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we use it for Rusev.
Well, and,
Exactly. Yeah, Renee could have said that. You know what I mean?
but he didn't even write it. That is the thing that I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
And I do
Yeah.
agree with you too. Is I feel like I get the argument that it is too closed off at times at WWE for some talent, and some talent is underutilized, or some talent struggles. I get that argument, and I feel it's great that we have an AEW, just like it's great that we have a Ring of Honor and an NJPW, and these other companies for talent to try and be what they want to be. However, I don't feel like that idea of, yeah, you don't have to apologize, you just go this and not clearing anything, that's not good, because it's the opposite. It is, it's no quality control, and it allows for dumb bullshit, and then
And
I think
basic
it's
mistakes.
all just hope. Yeah, and you just hope your fan base is cool with it, and at some point they won't be, and I feel we're getting to a point where they're not, and I feel like that was the Matt Hardy hit.
Yeah, I think also this, right? So last week they broke 1 million views. They were at a 1.03, I think. They were just over 1 million, which was awesome. This week they
Great.
were like 880. They lost 220,000 in a week. You know what I mean? Like if they're gonna celebrate every little triumph, we also have to acknowledge when something doesn't seem to be working, right? You had the most viewers you've had since the pandemic, since your debut on Eyes, and you couldn't keep 220,000 of them. That's what, a fifth of the audience? Just, hey, yeah, I'm not coming back for that. You know what I mean? And they were here to watch whatever Matt Hardy was going to say. And they were here to, and they were getting people to tune in because Miro was there. But then they saw those segments and went, yeah, no, I'll catch back up another time. You know what I mean? Like, I was hoping to see momentum build, but when they're delivering stuff like this, it's not completely shocking to not know why. Like with Miro, I'm 100% ready for his next story. I'm hoping to rush through whatever this story is as fast as possible. His promo here was like really jokey and lighthearted, and I get it. Everyone says how charismatic he is. I mean, I've met him in person before, and I remember him making me chuckle. Like I made him chuckle. Like he is that way. I get it, but I don't know. It just kind of felt a little forced jokey. I'm gonna tell jokes. I'm gonna tell jokes. It just felt a little forced, and I think that I don't know. Maybe he's just I don't want to say nervous, but maybe he is a little nervous, a little anxious. He's in an environment he's not used to. He's around a new audience potentially. He's got to impress, right? So it could be that. I'm ready for the next thing with him because I really want to see him do some cool stuff, and I don't think strapping Kip Sabian on his back is going to be the thing that makes him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
so serious and scary is the way you would go? Intimidating?
I don't know if it has to be that way, but I think that I would like that a lot. But I do think that there's room for him to be jokey as well. I think that him forcing jokes with Kip Sabian, who's largely not funny, I don't think it didn't make me go, oh, I want to see more of this. It said, okay, I'm ready for the next thing. Because it's not that I don't want to see him, and it's not that I would have rather see him in a match. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then they even just said, oh, the next week we're going to do a bachelor party thing. I don't want that. I don't want anything to do with his wedding. I'm ready for the next thing. It's almost like I'm willing to sit out for the next 3 months and then see what he's doing. You know what I mean?
I agree with that 100%. It's frustrating. It's
It's
Like-
frustrating because I was so excited seeing him. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And all the stuff about how he was dressed, what he looked. I've seen people talking about it, his hair dye. Yeah, he doesn't look the same. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it, but you know what? It's not going to break his character to me. I'm not like, oh no, until Rusev dyes his hair back, I'm not into it. Like, no, it's fine. That's how he looks now. That's fine. All that's fine.
Wouldn't
It was
be
all the
cool-
stuff that set it up, like this whole wedding thing.
Yeah. Wouldn't it have been cool that if he came in, if I'm gonna do a fantasy booking thing on my own.
Yes.
The TNT title has a stipulation that whoever has the TNT title has to defend it on Dynamite week to week. And Brody Lee is fighting that and pissed off about that. He's bringing in weak-ass talent. It's highlighting people, but he's bringing, like, Cheeseburger from Ring of Honor, people that are not there, old ass people, but have these pop moments like, oh, cool, he brought in Norman Smiley, whatever, and
or even Danhausen.
Yeah.
Like, Danhausen's got a huge fan base. They would love it. And if he even got squashed, people would be like, that's cool. Like,
yeah. And then have, somebody, like, have it be a situation where somebody's like, I got somebody for you. And that's where Miro comes in. Miro comes in, takes the title off of Brody Lee, first match in. Looks like a badass, looks tough as hell. He can wear the Gucci shirt out and tear it up. I would love that because I don't know. Whenever somebody has something super expensive, I want to see it get destroyed. That'd be awesome.
That's actually a good point. If he had ripped that shirt off, people would have been going like, oh my God, he just ripped a $250 shirt in half.
More expensive than that. I actually have the shirt up.
Oh, is it? What was it?
$650. It's a $650 T-shirt. The jogging pants were over $1,000. And the jogging pants are $1,450, and he was wearing Yeezy boots that are $220.
Yeah, that dude's whole outfit is 3 months rent.
Yep.
The thing about this too, and this is not a knock at all at Rusev. I think they're Miro. He can spend his money however he wants, and I don't think he should be dressing down. I think however he wants to live, I think that's 100% fine. This is not a knock at all. But I do think it's kind of funny when you see a guy walk out to make his debut in $3,000 worth of T-shirts and sweats.
Yep.
And 3 months ago, everyone's going, how could you fire them in the middle of a pandemic? How are they supposed to take care of their families? How are they going to work again? You just see that and you go, all right, maybe we should all calm down a little bit because maybe Rusev's been really smart with his money. Maybe he'll be okay. Maybe he's going to land on his feet just fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a knock on him at all. I'm not saying he should have walked out in torn up pants or anything, which is probably more expensive. I don't know. But I'm not saying he should have dressed down. Yeah. I'm just saying that we're so quick as the internet wrestling community to jump up and yell and scream and say, this is awful. This is terrible. How could they do this? They're not thinking about anything without actually like considering everything, right? Like maybe he's financially fine and can afford $2,000 sweatpants. And that's okay. You know what I mean? If they weren't going to use him, let him go. He's fine. They didn't take his house from him. He's able to go to another company and work, and he'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, I think everyone needs to calm down at jumping on people's throats all the time.
I agree with that. I mean, the only thing that was funny is I kind of immediately was like, I don't like that outfit because, so, I like the loudness of Gucci or Louis print because to me it looks like fuck you money.
Yeah.
I kind of wish he came out like, do you remember Miz wears a couple Gucci suits and they're the Gucci pattern suits and they're loud as shit and I'm like, God, that'd be cool if he came out in that because he'd just look like he'd make the statement and be different, but I don't know. I think it was meant to be a layer of like, I'm gonna be rich and trashy, and that's fine. It fits, but...
All right. But I do like that he's there. I just thought it was interesting that Jericho was helping him with that thing, and I can't wait for what happens next with him.
I'd also like to see him as a face. I know he's great as a heel, but he also is really just genuinely funny. So
I think it's what they're going for. Isn't that what they're going for with him, making him a face?
No, they're making him be... They're making him one of the AEW heels where they're an over heel, where they're like, yeah, they're really... You're supposed to boo them, but they're really cool, so you like them. Like Jericho, and it doesn't
And
work.
MJF.
Yeah.
MJF gets
I'm okay
fake
with.
boos.
Yeah, I like MJF. I will...
But that's just it. Everyone likes him.
Yeah.
Nobody actually hates him. Everyone boos him or they cheer when they see he's coming out, and then they boo him once they know they're supposed to boo him.
Yeah.
They go, oh yeah, and then they go, oh wait, the camera's around, boo, boo.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I think he does it. I still like it, but it's to varying effects. I don't like it with Jericho. To me, Jericho, it's overdone and it doesn't work out, and he's just a silly dumbass. I don't like it with a lot of their heel faces. I don't like it with Sammy.
Yeah, I don't like it. But so MJF did come out. Did you watch that?
I didn't see it. No, that one I didn't see.
he came out and he had a squash match against somebody, a match that he just dominated this dude. I forget the guy's name, but he looked good. Like, he looked like a bigger dude.
John
and
Dean.
Say what?
John Dean.
Yes, John Dean. He looked great. He looked like he was probably a good wrestler. And you see him and he looks like a physical threat potentially. You know what I mean? You go, oh, this could be a good match. And then MJF just completely dominated him. And I thought it was awesome. It made MJF look like $1 million. Plus, MJF is in the best shape of his life. He looks so much better than when they first started. He's really looking good. So I thought that was really cool. He even did a promo. I know I heard some people saying they thought it was a bit long. Maybe. But I thought it was really good. This was probably the first time that top to bottom I really liked everything that MJF did in there. The only issue I had with it was he forced his catchphrase in at the end and it didn't quite fit. So the way he finished it was, you know, was like, he's like, win or lose, whether I'm champion or not, I'm better than you and you know it. But it was like the way he said it felt even more forced than what I just said.
It would have been better if he said it just authoritatively, like angry, like just like upset, like just yelled at, like, win or lose, I'm better than you, you know it. You know, or like I could hear a Kevin Nash say that, like, okay, cool, like I like that, you know.
Yeah, that's true. He tried to say it like his intro. I just felt like it was a little forced, but you know, that's fine. If that's the worst thing that happened is you forced in your catchphrase, then okay. But I was actually really excited about that MJF segment. Really excited to see a squash match. Again, I also think that this is another sign of people running their own division. Like, I feel like that MJF was like, hey, this is what we want to do. I'm going to just crush you, and I'm going to have cut a promo, and that's what's going to happen. And I feel like there's like, oh, okay. Where I think with everyone else, it's like, oh, I want to have a real competitive match with this person that nobody really knows who's a third my size and really put them over, and then they're just not going to come back ever again. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, do that then. Like, there's no consistency in how someone gets portrayed either, you know, or portrayed. Yeah. But I think MJF's smart. I think he knows what he's doing, and I think that's why his segments are always pretty decent. And I think that's why the squash match was so good.
I like that, and I think, you know, like, I think they rely a little bit on squash matches, but there's a point to them, and if you do them right, they work out. And sometimes, like, a squash match works here more than it does for, like, Cody or, you know, somebody like the Viking Raiders in WWE. It's like, okay, cool, we know y'all fuckers are big. Let's have you have some real matches, you know?
And I get it to establish someone, too. Like, when Bludgeon Brothers first came out and Viking Raiders first came out, they went through a wave of jobbers, just squash matches, to show we're big and we're dominant. Okay, I get that. There's a time where it's got to be turned off, and I feel like the WWE goes too far with it. They always go, like, right on the time you're done with the jobber match, like, now we're going to do them another. We're 100% more. We just did 20. Now you guys are done with it. We're going to do another 20, and then we're going to move on. Like, they always go too far with it, and I don't think that AEW utilizes them at all. So I think that it's really good to see them from time to time because it reminds you that this person is not just an average wrestler. And when you see a bunch of really competitive matches, you start forgetting that someone's supposed to be just excellent and world class. And it's okay to have varying degrees of excellence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
it was hard to believe
Lee.
that Cody. Yeah, but it was hard to believe that Cody was better than anybody because he never had a definitive win. It was always barely squeaking by, barely getting a win. So when Brody Lee destroys him, the surprising bit was that, it made total sense. You're like, oh, okay, here's someone who's actually tough, and he can't handle it at all. But the only surprising bit was you're like, oh, I expected a more competitive match. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fair.
GR Lunar swinging in and leaving. Yep. Cheers. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for the lurk.
Yo.
But, go ahead. Say what you were saying.
Just got coffee grounds. Sorry. No, I agree with you. I think, like, for so many of their talents where they've brought them in, I feel like they've done, like, one or two of them, and then it's not, like, they almost need to do, like, I think of Lance Archer. They did a couple squash matches, cool. Then he lost. Now they just have him sitting in the crowd. And they were doing that with MJF for the longest time. He's lost a couple matches. He's won, like, one thing. Keep his ass in the crowd. Do things with these people. Have them be matches. Have them have matches against each other. Have them lose or win in shitty ways. That's okay. Have them like show people who are just watching what's happening. And like the only reason seeing this week that I thought like Lance Archer looked tough is because we haven't seen him do shit in forever. They need a more like you need a happy medium between we're gonna have you do a challenge every week and win it in this super over the top way because you're fighting the champion of Liechtenstein again and again and again versus you never wrestling and then squeaking out a win in this this long-winded amazing match.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was really happy with how they did with MJF. Let's see, let's get this other thing out of the way. The way that it opened, the Young Bucks come out and just kick a ref in the head. And then they walk back and the cameras follow them and they throw a stack of cash at Tony and said, "Oh, here you go for the fine," and just walk by him.
Yeah.
Which you're like, okay, I'm supposed to boo you, I guess, but I really don't care. Also, this is the same company where they suspended an employee for a month because of a shitty joke they made on a podcast 5 years ago before the company even existed. But now you have EVPs assaulting employees and they're getting minimum fines.
Yep.
Like the lack of consistency there, I was all like, what the fuck is this? Like it brings away from the idea of it being realistic. You're just like, this is just your shitty goofy thing. And I thought that the Young Bucks looked terrible in it. I thought it also undermines Tony in a huge way where we already question whether or not he's doing anything to stop anybody from whatever they want, and to let that be part of the storyline where you see him dressed in the back in shorts and flip-flops having money thrown at him by his fucking employees, as it were, the other EVPs, and just saying here's for the fine and walking away. That was You'd never see that level of disrespect on Vince. Because he also just looked down at the cash and looked at it and was like, okay.
Well, and the other thing, too, is they've really not explained who the fuck Tony Khan is. The people who know who Tony Khan is and it kind of makes sense because their fan base is solid and it's their fan base and it's their people who like them. But outside of it, if I was somebody who was, just watching it for the first time, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, he definitely didn't look like the guy in charge. Like, if you 100%. If you didn't know who Tony Khan was and didn't recognize him immediately, you're like, who's the kid in the back?
Also, just for storytelling, so, like, who are the bad guys in this Elite breakup? Because I feel like if we're going to break up the Elite, you need to have some people be good, some people be bad. It just feels like, okay, we're fracturing, but you're all going to be shitty. Yeah. Okay, so that's really not fracturing. That just means we're all going to be heels now, and then we'll reunite. You guys really are half-ass pulling this apart.
It's really weird. To be honest, all of a sudden, the Elite, I think, is the worst storyline in the whole company.
Yeah. I'm
like super into a lot of this other stuff. Matt Hardy I thought was kind of tasteless, but I'm more curious about how Matt Hardy's doing than I am about what the Young Bucks are up to. Miro, like I said, not really into the idea of the wedding thing, but I'm willing to watch that through to see him wrestle and to see what's next. MJF, I like his gripe. I like the idea that he came out and was like, hey, your guys' hero's a cheater. Paige versus Kaz, I thought was a good match.
Yeah.
I thought they both ended up looking really good in there. I like the tassels that Hangman has now. He's looking a little more cowboy-y. He was wrestling in a leather belt and a belt buckle, dude.
And I like Hangman in terms of this kind of breaking up the Elite story. I like Hangman's role. I think Hangman and Kenny, to me, kind of make sense, and you can expand upon that more. I think if they broke apart and maybe are not as allied but allied and went heel while the Young Bucks tried to be these positives, that makes sense to me. I think
that would make sense. Do you think that the Young Bucks are just weak links? They're just not good at being convincing at all, so they come off weird when the other guys are doing stuff that you can believe?
Yeah, I think part of this I feel is that they feel like they all have to, in a sense, maybe compete against each other.
Yeah.
And be part of each other's thing to be support networks for each other when they shouldn't need to. I think that the Young Bucks are, they got over as heels, and you know what? They're okay as baby faces. I'm okay with them in that role. Let them be that. You know, they are. I'll give them a lot of positives. They're talented. They do a lot well. They do, you know, some pretty crazy things. And
I disagree with all of that.
Well, there's a space for a smart ass face. I'm okay with it. I don't think, and it makes no sense to me, other than pitching a little fit, for them to, you know, go heel because other people are. Because the other parts of the Elite going heel have a lot of potential, and this just takes away from it. Like, okay, so all of you do this, you know?
Dude, the way that they're just beating up, because they kicked Alex Marvez and then they kicked a random ref, and there's no story between Alex Marvez and the ref. Like, I don't know. It reminds me of that story that Jim Ross told where Cornette came in and it was his first time I think it was Mid-South, and cuts a promo where he cuts like apparently like great promo, but it was like largely about how much he didn't like JR and how he looks stupid, how he's dressed horrible, and how, you know, Cornette could do his job better and all of that. And afterwards, I think it was Bill Watts, the promoter, just all like, that was the worst shit I've ever seen, because the one thing that this town will never get is a match between JR and Jim Cornette. Yeah. So how about you go back and redo it so I can actually book a fight between the team you're managing and one of our teams. So he goes back and redoes it, and obviously cuts a promo on the teams, and, you know, boom, Cornette was doing what Cornette did at that time. But this feels a lot like that. We're all like, so the Young Bucks versus Marvez and a ref? Is that what we're getting at the next pay-per-view?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where we're going with it or why it should matter. All I can tell is that they're walking all over Tony Khan, that they can assault their employees and pay a minimum fine, and that's it. And they're just sitting in the back. Like, I just don't... I don't know where we're going with it or why I need to care about it. Like, they're not doing much of a story that seems like it's going anywhere I care to see.
And it doesn't make them look badass. It doesn't make them look tough. I mean...
No, they're beating up little dudes who don't fight.
Well, and
he also picked the smallest ref they have.
Yeah, but also, like, beyond that, like, if, you know, I always try and, like, think of other performers I could see do something similar and have a different result. Like, often Stone Cold. I always think of Stone Cold as the example of a face who's really someone you shouldn't go for, but you do because he's authority. The Young Bucks have none of that energy or talent, none of that appearance. So seeing two guys who soaking wet are 350 as a team, kicking people and walking off, yeah, it just looks sad. It just looks okay.
Yeah, they're sucker punching these people. The only time that you really find Stone Cold stunning any referee, it's when the referees are trying to pull them off of beating the shit out of someone else. You know what I mean? Like someone bigger. Like, I don't know what that means in the chat. It says rheumatoid probably feel like they're being tough.
Oh, they probably.
They probably feel like they're being tough. I think they do. I think they feel like they're looking real badass. We're looking real tough. We're looking real mean. And you're like, dude, you look more like school children than you ever did before. It's it's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, Thunder Rosa. What?
Petulant.
Thunder Rosa had another incredible matchup. Another was the only trending thing from AEW last night. Mm-hmm. This is the thing I thought was a little silly about it. They have her come out. She had a match against Ivelisse for the NWA title, which I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. That also means that Thunder Rosa's had more matches than the champion and has defended her title as many times as their champion in the past month.
Yeah.
But that aside, she comes out and they say at a 60-minute time limit, but there was 40 minutes left in the show. They still had to get through their Miro segment. They had a main event to do, and Taz and Jake still had a segment to come out and do. Why would you announce a 60-minute time limit when there's 40 minutes left in the show?
Yeah. No, it
didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I just thought that was just a giveaway, because even then, what do they do when it's the main event and they have 30 minutes left or 20 minutes left? They say the time limit's the end of the program, right?
Yeah.
TV time remaining, they say. Why would you make the time limit? Yeah.
I wonder if maybe was this filmed for Was this filmed prior, and was this filmed for, pay-per-view?
It could have been filmed before, for sure, because it also could have been filmed, and that could have been one of the earlier bits. Hey, let's do this match first.
Yeah.
Well, even if it wasn't on pay-per-view. It doesn't have to be pay-per-view, Clump. Even for TV, they could have given a 60-minute time limit if it opened the show. They could have moved it around and just not cut that part.
That's fair. It did feel weird. It was a great match, and I mean, I feel like that's a little bit unfair to say, like, their own champion hasn't been on that much. Yeah, their own champion should be there more, but I think it is awesome to see Thunder Rosa defending the NWA title there. I'm not going to knock the amount of times we're seeing her, because it's always good to see Thunder Rosa, and it's cool to have that, inter-promotional connection.
Yes.
Yeah, and it still kind of keeps in a sense, it keeps the women's championship here special, because you know what, Thunder Rosa challenge Sheeta again. Let's go for this.
Really happy.
I want to see Thunder Rosa have both belts.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. My point is that the reason Sheeta defended against Nyla, however long ago it was, like, I don't know, a couple months at this point, they said that Sheeta said, I'm going to give Nyla another chance because we don't have enough women in the division. That's basically what the promo said. Because of travel restrictions, because we don't have very many women here, I'm happy to give Nyla another chance at the title. So you're telling me you don't have a roster big enough. You can't find opponents for your champion, but you can find opponents for the NWA champion? Like, it just seems weird. You know what I mean? Because she's had more opponents than Sheeta's had since she became a champion. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I don't want to see Thunder Rosa. I want Thunder Rosa on every one of their programs. I think Thunder Rosa is the reason they're getting as good a ratings as they're getting right now.
I agree. I'm so glad to see her actually, like, being a point of conversation. Like, even though, we followed her through her whole NWA run, and we've told people, hey, you got to check her out. It's great that now those people that didn't actually catch up, that now they're like, oh, this person, why didn't we? Yeah, that's what we've been screaming.
Yeah, you know what they accidentally did this month? They accidentally showed that the NWA Women's World Title is more prestigious than their own. Oops. they're like,
no.
there is a better champion out there. Whoops. Sorry about that.
Fuck.
Yeah. Like, the NWA Women's Champions had a much better showing than any other women they have on their show, and I believe that was a mistake. But I do believe that was awesome. I think Thunder Rosa is incredible. I think that my money, in 2 to 3 weeks, she signs with AEW and drops the NWA title.
I'm cool with that.
I mean, I'm not cool with that, but it'd be good for her, I think. I mean, it'd be good money. It'd be good for the company, because that company's women's division has been struggling so hard since it started. I think that it'd be good for the company to have a face like that, because then she's also a believable champion for a long period of time. You can leave the title on her and have a bunch of great matches. She's, in her 3 matches, has had the 3 best women's matches that the company's ever seen. She keeps putting on classics, and yeah, you can believe that she just doesn't lose that title. And then when someone does, they're made. Someone gets over for beating her. But right now, someone beat Sheeta, you go, oh, nice, they're going to go in a different direction. Sheeta doesn't come off as a dominant champion.
Yeah.
She didn't even come off as dominant champion in her match against Thunder Rosa. You feel like she got the win, but you feel like it was almost like she didn't have to. Not at any point, you know?
That's
fair. It felt like a contractual obligation.
And I feel like I don't know what the shift was, because I liked Sheeta for a while. I feel ultimately what unfortunately happened was Sheeta was kind of a second choice to Chris Statlander.
Yeah, but I also think that Sheeta's great. I really like Sheeta a lot. Problem is, she's nowhere near on the same level as Thunder Rosa.
Yes.
And now it's obvious and it's clear. So when you see the matches that Thunder Rosa puts on, and then she goes up against Sheeta, and you go, yeah, I guess Sheeta has to win because of contracts. But you're not watching that thinking that Sheeta's the best champion in that match.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And that's not to say she can't get there, but I do think that Sheeta's a little young in the business. And I think that Thunder Rosa, although Thunder Rosa Jim Ross called her a prodigy. They said something along the lines of how Evilisa had 16 years of experience and Thunder Rosa had like 5. And Jim Ross said Thunder Rosa is just a prodigy. He's like, it's as simple as that.
I think they also kind of brushed over the fact that, she was in Lucha Underground. Like, she might have only been on the scene for 5 years, but, I mean, she's really been working those 5 years. She wasn't just,
but Evilisa was in Lucha Underground as well. Evilisa.
Yeah.
So was Brian Cage, Ricochet, Penta. What do you think about them giving Penta a new name? He's no longer Pentagon or Pentagon Jr. He's Penta Cero M.
It's not a new name. He's done that before. I've never liked that. I think that's been maybe his worst name. I like Pentagon Jr. or Pentagon. Well, no, he would be Penta El, like it would be several variations of like Penta, and I don't. It just sounds clunky.
Supposedly there's some sort of contract dispute with his name. I don't know. I don't know
Well,
that kind of stuff. I'm not into contracts, as we've talked about before.
And that's fair, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, just figure something else out. Like, it sounds so goddamn clunky, you know?
It's funny because also the commentators didn't understand it, and they were discussing it.
Yeah.
And Excalibur wasn't even certain what it was. He goes, and I believe it ends with an M for some reason. And you're like, because Cero Mero, dude. But, like, that's the gimmick. Like, he's been doing that. Like, it's just weird. It was weird that they didn't. They were having a hard time putting it together. And I was like, that's the kind of thing that you guys should have locked down before you get out there.
Yeah.
But no one's prepping anybody. Everyone's just out there.
I agree. Yeah, we're knocking it hard. We're hitting them hard this week.
A little bit. I feel like the disorganization is shining, and some of their talent is shining through. Thunder Rosa being one of them. Eddie Kingston I thought was fantastic this week.
Yes.
I like the idea that he's putting together a faction. I feel like it's a little bit of a hodgepodge of people, but I don't even care because you know what? If Eddie Kingston said, follow me, I'll take you to the promised land, I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. And with the exception of, I don't know if the Lucha Brothers, well, I don't know if they need him, but then I don't know, this is really new. I loved Eddie. I feel like, and I said this before, Eddie Kingston's the kind of guy you say, like, go out there, talk, and we'll see what you do. And he goes out there, and he makes you money. You know, if you're a promoter and you have Eddie Kingston, you're like, just go out there and talk, be a badass. And he's going to go out there, and he's going to blow everything out of the water. You know? And he does every week. So I think this grouping is a little hokey, but if there's anyone who could sell it and make it amazing, it's Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, Eddie Kingston keeps that together where I think otherwise I'd be like, why the fuck are these teams together? But with Eddie Kingston in the middle, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't tell Eddie no.
Yeah.
If Eddie's like, I can manage your career better than you, I'd be like, yeah, he could.
Yeah.
He could, guys.
Thank you.
Even
Thank you, sir.
Even with Penn, even though the Lucha Brothers, because hey, we got action figures and you don't, he'd still be like, yeah, but guys, and he'd be like, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
Just go with him.
I mean, and I think part of that too is in Lucha Underground, what made Pentagon like it really got the attention on him. Pentagon was a very different character. Pentagon was a scary motherfucker.
Dude, I hated him.
Mm-hmm.
I was certain he was dangerous. I thought he was hurting people. I was so mad. And it wasn't until hindsight that I was like, I was getting worked that whole time, man.
Yeah.
But I hated him when he came in. I was like, fuck that guy, man. He's breaking people's arms. Dude, I hook, line, and seeker every time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. He was amazing there.
I agree. And then here, I mean, I was pumped for it, but I feel like maybe more than, I don't want to say more than Kenny, but more than so many other talents, they became, like, their focus on the acrobatics was cool, but they lost any of the seriousness. And then also, I think unfortunately that also is Rey Fenix. I don't know if, like, I think they could be great separate, because I think Pentagon is great being a fucking beast. And Rey's talented as all hell, don't get me wrong, but he's a babyface.
I do think this is the shining. Oh man, this is no. It's My brain, man, is only halfway moving. I do think that this is a good highlight of Eddie. I do think that the way that Eddie came out and said, "You guys go pick a couple of dudes, let's beat the shit out of them and make fun of them." I thought we were starting to see what this could be. This is where Eddie starts to put them together and starts moving towards that stab him up style promo that we were used to seeing him do back on the indies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that he could bring that serious edge back out of Penta and Ray, where right now Penta and Ray have largely been displayed as Young Bucks trampoline pals, and Butcher and Blade have been largely seen as the goofy cartoon characters that the Young Bucks push around. So I think this is a really good way, because when we first saw Butcher and Blade, what was the first thing we thought? Like, fuck, they look like mean dudes. And then they're playing in the kitchen and doing a bunch of goofy shit with Bucks. And I was like, what? And then they get pushed around by the Bucks and they just steal the car from them. Like, what the fuck was that? The Ray and Penta, we saw them and thought from Lucha Underground, like, this motherfucker's going around breaking everyone's arms, I bet. And all they did was a bunch of backflips and trampoline tricks with the Young Bucks over and over again. And it's like, oh, come on. So I think Eddie coming in and putting them together, I'm hoping is like him bringing their edge out, you know?
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, I could see that.
And I'm excited for that because did you see, I didn't send it to you and I probably should have. There's a video circulating of Eddie Kingston cutting a promo on a cookie. He's holding a cookie and he cuts a promo on it. And in the room is like the Young Bucks and the Best Friends and the Best Friend's mom, whoever, I forget her name, Sue, I think. And a couple of the people I didn't recognize right away because the video was kind of panning kind of quick. But he just cuts this promo on a cookie, and it's like a minute long, and it's like emotional, dude. Like, you get choked up for a minute, you're getting mad with him, and you're just like, fuck yeah. And then he just kind of like snaps out of it, and you're just like, shit, dude. Like, that dude got serious with a cookie. Like,
Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, Eddie fucking Kingston, dude. In a matchup against a cookie for the lifetime. Dude, people will... I just imagine like the Rock and Cena posters, but with Eddie and a cookie. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll make one. Dude, did you see that street fight?
I saw a little bit of it. I was like, okay, cool. They're actually kind of doing shit. Like, it looked pretty decent, pretty brutal. Like, it made sense for it. Like, I loved seeing... and I think Proud and Powerful looked great in this. Like, do this shit, look evil... look like monsters, I'm okay with it.
My only problem with Proud and Powerful, because this is the best showing I think they've had, was I didn't like them coming out in the Warriors makeup. That was that one thing where it's all like, you guys have to make everything cosplay or a joke. And at no point have you guys made any references to the Warriors before. They're not wearing Warriors shirts. They don't say come out to play. They just scream, the best, the best, the best. And what's going to happen now with Miro there? He's the best. Mm-hmm. Well, now we're fucked. So that was my only issue is I didn't want them in the face paint. And if you're going to wear face paint, I wish it wasn't just a complete rip of the Warriors. I wish it was something a little more their own. But apart from that, I thought they looked good in face paint. And I thought that the match went really well. The only part of the match that I thought was just like kept drawing me out of it was Chuck Taylor. Just... did not look good in a street fight. He didn't look believable. I didn't know why he was there. Everything he did looked really soft and weird. And then you had a bunch of people kicking the shit out of each other around him. And I was like, why is this kid here? Like, he felt so out of place, but everyone else was just killing it. And I felt like it was the best use of a parking lot brawl and the best use of the cars that I think I've ever seen. We've seen a few moves here and there into windshields and stuff and onto the tops of cars. Them using the hood the way they were. The glass there, that plank of wood, which I was like, it's a little forced. I mean, you're just trying to make a table where you don't have a table, but it worked. When he finally went through it, I was like, okay, I like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. When they were setting it up, I was like, that's stupid. I'm not going to like that. And then when they did the move, I was like, that was really good. They did a really good job with that one.
Okay. You guys did good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I don't mean to knock Chuck Taylor on that one or to try and bring down that match, but the face paint and Chuck were the only two things that kept me from
having a good
just
time.
From me just saying like this was the best hardcore match I've seen in decades. You know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
really had a lot of reason to celebrate, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. And it had, like, I think it had, other than that, I mean, I even was cool with the van. I'm cool. It's silly, but it's okay. It was just little things. Like, I think it was just little alterations to be like, yeah, I'm cool with this. I'm cool with you doing a little bit less. You know, when it's a street fight to me, and we have Proud and Powerful, I want them to take this shit so seriously. I want them to come out in, like, Carhartts and Timbs. You know?
Yeah,
But then
that's
I
true
want everyone
too.
to be in Timbs.
That's true too. No one was straight up just in wrestling gear though, right? They were all in like jeans and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
I like that more than that was my one knock on the Candice LeRae and Mia Yim street fight they did.
Mhm.
Was they came out in like the cutest street clothes they could find, and you're like, come on,
Yeah.
look like you're about to go fight in a fucking street, man. Like,
Yeah.
it was as close to your gear as you could get, and still be like, but I want to make sure I look cute, and it's just like. It just, for me, it was a little weird. But this one, yeah, I thought they looked good coming out. Again, I think I would have preferred that they had a different style of face paint, because I think having the face paint was still cool. I don't know. I guess I've never really been into reference humor, though. Like, I wasn't a big fan of Family Guy. So
Yeah,
I also know that I'm probably on the minority in that. In the
That makes
reference. What's up? Go ahead.
That makes me think so much of this, like, promotion is reference humor, and I'm okay
totally.
with it to an extent. Like, like, to me, it's not funny. It's an Easter egg. Like, oh, cool, you referenced that. I'm cool with it, you know. But
it's a lot, man.
Yes, it's a lot, and it's all meant to be a joke. Like, I liked when Becky came out referencing the bride from Kill Bill. I was like,
Yes,
that's
and it was
cool.
subtle, and she reversed the colors on purpose.
Yes. I like when Johnny Gargano's gear is meant to be Marvel superheroes. I like when Ricochet references heroes in their gear. Cool.
Or how Rhea Ripley did the color thing for Mania to be the Dragon Ball Z thing. But it was her gear just with those colors. Like, inspired by is not the same as reference humor. It's not. It reminds me of that movie. Was it This Is the End or something? And he's like, this guy's got the best movie quotes. He tells the best movie quotes. Like, you're like, that's not a joke.
Yeah. No. To me, it makes me think of Family Guy, which, like, cutaways are okay. I will give Family Guy did a little bit. Like, at least they'll try and make a joke occasionally. But I also didn't like, and it more like, if you're not super into it, it kind of comes off like all of those, like, mid 2000s parody movies, like Disaster Movie, Blank Movie, on, and they were just like a series of references. There wasn't a punchline in it. The punchline was, oh yeah, it's Miley Cyrus.
Like Scary Movie.
Yeah, like Scary Movies.
Scary Movie
Fifth
wasn't
one.
too bad.
Not
But,
another
like, they
teen
got
movie,
you.
but those are reference humor jokes. They're movies.
Yeah.
I've said this before. I don't remember if I've said it on the show or not. The thing that makes me the most uncomfortable watching AEW is there are times that I'm pretty sure they're laughing at me.
Yes.
It doesn't feel to me like here's a bunch of people who love wrestling because they've cried watching wrestling. These are people who love wrestling because they get together with their friends and make fun of what they're watching.
Yeah.
And that's the part where what draws me out is they start making so many jokes at wrestling fans. It doesn't feel like it's for wrestling fans. It feels like they think they're Mystery Science Theater 3000 for wrestling. And I get to a point where I start to feel like I'm being made fun of because I really care about these characters for long term. And it becomes uncomfortable at a certain point. And that's to me AEW at its worst, is when I feel like they're making fun of me for liking wrestling. And when it's go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish.
No, and I think that when it's at its best is when the people who we haven't seen have a large platform and have always deserved it, like Eddie Kingston and Thunder Rosa. When people like that, Dustin Rhodes, finally got to have that brother versus brother match that he always pitched to Vince McMahon that Vince said no to, said that people didn't want to watch, when he could finally step up and show the world, this is what my voice sounds like and what I've been trying to do forever. That's AEW at its best. Mm-hmm. AEW at its worst is the Young Bucks pointing and laughing at me like Nelson because I love wrestling.
Yeah. And, you know, I feel like you do this enough and it becomes that we're walking a line close to, is it a parody of wrestling? Because it's trying to be a like a reference back and an attack on it. When does it become a parody? And at times I feel like, especially with like the Dark Order stuff, like this is just parodying it. And yeah, some of it's cool, it's getting inside of it, but you gotta be real careful how you walk it, because then at what point is that making fun of the fans, making fun of everyone? And more than that, when you do it, how do you then position a truly like fan invested, deep, interesting character that's serious? Because you have to have those occasionally. How do I get invested and care about someone when all I'm seeing is jokes? Why should I give a shit about Jon Moxley holding a title and having everyone against him when everything's a joke?
And I think that's one of the big things I've been saying is Miro might be the first oh shit moment they've ever had, and we're pretty far in, but the biggest match they've ever had and the most emotionally tied match they've ever had was Cody versus Dustin.
Yeah.
Which was built off of 2 video promos and a decade worth of stuff that they did somewhere else. Mm-hmm. They haven't been able to build that level of emotion for any of their characters in-house. And my concern is because it's, like you said, a parody. And I think that's what keeps me away from investing so much into it. Every time I start to be drawn in, they point and laugh, I feel like. So I always have to, I feel guarded when I watch AEW, to be quite honest. I don't feel like it's as welcoming to true wrestling fans. It's welcoming to kids and people who grew up watching wrestling and look back at it and think of how funny and goofy it was. The kind of people who say, oh, I like dressing up in my underwear and wrestling with
my dad.
Yeah. Or the way that people talk about it as wrestling. When people constantly talk about, oh, I like to watch wrestling because it's goofy, it's dumb, it's wrestling. I never say wrestling in my life. I don't ever say it, because to me, that's more degrading than saying fake. You know what I mean? Like, as much as people get fucking off the rocker about someone saying, well, that's that fake stuff, Okay, I've heard that forever. But wrestling? That's like jokey hillbilly shit to me. You know what I mean?
Judgment in the chat.
Judgment's in the chat? Judgment showed up? Judgment does say he does like dressing up in his underwear, and I believe that 100%. I say slap on some baby oil and get a camera. You know what I mean? That's how we start our own AEW.
Or OnlyFans.
Or an OnlyFans. But I mean, that's kind of my thing about AEW feeling like a parody. And you know what? The street fight was the furthest of their hardcore matches from a parody. A lot of their hardcore matches come off as parodies. This was the most real feeling one they had, and it was that seeing the Warrior paint that stopped me from investing myself right away, because like you said, they make so many jokes at my expense that I was all like, they're about to make fun of me again, and I had to watch that whole match guarded.
Yeah. Do you got anything else for AEW?
I do not.
I don't
either. I think.
Sorry, real quick. When you say guarded and just like you're being made fun of, for some reason it keeps making me think of all the old timers there, quote unquote old timers, or people with tons of experience who have said like, oh, I wish they asked me about that. Oh, I wish they were interested in my experience, and being kind of, shunned away. It's sad. Like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I do too. Judgment makes a call in the chat. Dynamite, mid-card mania. I will say this. I liked when AEW was on Saturday, because then I could call it Saturday night's mid-card event. I hate you, clown.
Careful, they might do that. Is a joke.
Yes, they're gonna do that. But yeah, it's all I really had to say about AEW. And like I said, I'm not trying to knock on AEW because I actually thought this was one of their better shows in a while.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was much better than last week's in a lot of ways. But it's those little tiny things that have built up over time that make me watch it going, I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Do you think down the line that Billy will be in some way a part of AEW?
Billy
Do you see NWA and AEW really
merging?
Yeah.
No. Billy Corgan doesn't want to do anything like WWE. He wants to do something completely different. AEW has made it very clear they are trying to do something very similar to WWE. Also, Billy Corgan isn't really on the creative side of things. He bought NWA for a reason, and it was because of his vision for what he wanted wrestling to look like in an alternative version. And he also turned down TV deals because they wanted too much hand in the pot. He didn't want to make a title with the TV logo on it. Like, he specifically has said these things in interviews. He's like, I didn't want a TV network to be in control of my content at all. I didn't want to be making judgment calls based off the sponsors and networks and having to add a title that the network wants. So I don't see him being part of AEW because it's everything he didn't want to be.
I do wonder then what's going to happen because so much of the talent has already moved over.
They're all being scooped up. And speaking of scooped, we got the scoop of Stu. Stu Bennett has signed a deal with NXT and became part of their commentary team full time.
Nice. Yeah.
The rumor I read was that it was a 1-year deal. Quite honestly, I don't know how long it was. I didn't see the contract. He doesn't return my phone calls. There's no way for me to know. But if it is a year, that's a really good amount of time, and I imagine it would come with some sort of extension at some point. Really like him over there, dude.
I do too. I also think, like, in hearing him a little bit, I watched back and said, okay, he sounds better here than he did in NWA. I don't know what it was. I don't know what the difference in mics was or something there. But I said it during our shows, like, I can't fucking hear him because it's just his voice. But I'm like, okay, I like him here. He brings it.
I think he works really well with Vic Joseph.
Yeah, I agree with that. And
Vic Joseph, I like so much, dude. He's got my favorite. Oh no! Judgment says he talked to Stu. It's for 1 year, 3 months, 2 days, and 24 minutes. I have no reason to contest that. 100%. Heard it here first, right here, live on the air.
Boom. But yeah, NXT. So that, and then what did you think overall of this week's show?
I'm looking over my notes on it. You know, it was a solid show. There was good stuff that happened on it. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed Kushida coming out, and he storyline injured Velveteen Dream last week. He storyline injured Austin Theory this week. Two things. Do you think they're having him go through and injure the people who are getting a lot of internet heat right now on purpose? Or do you think that's coincidental?
I could see that. I think that's a way to get him off air. I mean, honestly, and I know that we talked a little bit about how Triple H talked about Velveteen Dream and that it was, like, addressed, but the heat's there. There's a lot there. I'm kind of... He could take a bit more of a break. I think he does until at least things calm down, or... You know, maybe he's the equivalent of Sammy where we talk about this dude's going through sensitivity training.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if it's coincidental or not, but the fact of the matter is that Kushida beat up.
I haven't heard.
He was listed somewhere in there as well. But from what I remember, I mean, I don't want to talk about something I don't know very well, but I do remember seeing his name fleet by at one point. I don't remember it being a long drawn out thing. I remember it being one person telling a story. I don't remember the content of it. But I also actually, if I remember correctly, it wasn't even a story came out. Just someone who was leaking information or saying, I'm getting all this, I'm getting all that. One of those internet journalist types was saying, Austin Theory's been added to the list. I can't tell the story at this time.
Yeah.
And that's how his name ended up on it. If I remember correctly, the story never came out. He was just added to the list because the dirt sheet said someone told them, and it was a, quote, viable source. I don't know.
I like the character of good guy.
Yeah,
Kushida,
Judgment
just
even says in the chat, he came up as a potential. It was unsubstantiated Austin Theory. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I believe it was when they were coming out with like, oh, everyone's speaking out. There was an internet, quote, journalist type who was saying, these are the names I'm getting. This one's confirmed. I can't give out any information. Victims don't want to talk. And you're like, okay, but what does that mean for us as people who are just kind of watching this all happen? So who knows? I certainly don't. I wasn't a part of any of those conversations, but that's where his internet heat comes from. People have lumped him in with all those other people with stories out there as a name that was just dragged through because someone else at that point compiled a list of every name that they saw come through in any way, and that started floating around a bunch. And so his name was on there because it was part of that tweet of saying, I heard this thing. So I don't know. I'm not a detective, but I don't know if that's enough to go on saying that's secondhand at best. So
Yeah.
I could definitely understand where they would say, hey, he's ready to put back on TV. There's nothing coming out from anybody, but I can also understand why the internet does what it does. And either way, I like Kushida kicking asses and breaking arms.
Yeah, I was getting nervous not seeing him. Kushida's amazing. Kushida and NJPW is amazing. I want to see more of the dude. So yeah, if he's fucking up people who have weirdness around him, cool. I'm down with it.
Yeah, we need someone off TV for a couple months. Kushida.
He's
I'm
the
on
one.
it.
Yeah.
He's the one person that even when he had his Back to the Future stuff, it didn't feel like cosplay. It kind of felt like, oh, in like honor of, but not like overdone to me.
It was really weird how he does it because he pulls it off in a way that I wouldn't expect. When I first saw him, I was like, oh no.
He's done it.
Please.
Well, he does it so well. Like in Japan, I was like, I love this. Like he came out and his theme song from like the first one, I was like, I love this so fucking much.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it works. When I first saw him, I was like, I don't know about this. But then he takes off all the thing. He's got the watch on his wrist tape, drawn on. And I was like, and you see the just at that point, his gear is just hints of it. Like the bottom of the hoverboard is like the lining. It's not the main part. So it's like, it's almost like a way he dresses, but not who his character is.
yeah.
Which is also kind of interesting.
And I mean, even at Wrestle Kingdom, where they do like, we're gonna do the most epic of your version of this. He came out twice. One year he came out in a DeLorean. It was like, okay, this is fucking cool. The next year he
Nice.
came out with the hoverboard, but it was like, we're not gonna continue this. It's okay. Like, NJPW is good about that. Like, hey, you get to do this over the top, but not over the top.
Yeah. You don't just get to keep doing it over the top, dude.
Yeah. We're gonna let you come out as the cleaner. So, what do you want to do? Okay.
Oh my
Come out
god,
as-
dude. That fucking video. There's
What?
a video circulating of Kenny sweeping on his way out to the ring, and he's all singing. And I was like, Clump, what's this? And he's all like, look, in context. I was like, okay. So then he tells me, I go, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But that one video, when I first saw it, I was like, what?
Well, the thing with Kenny, he would do a lot of silly shit, and he would do some serious shit, but he did it in a way that was different than anyone else. It's again, when everyone's doing silly shit, your silly shit doesn't really,
Doesn't stand out.
yeah. And he also still had kind of like, not necessarily an air of menace. Like he wasn't inspiring fear, but you knew because his matches were just so fucking good. Like, yeah, he can do this because he can back it up. His matches back it up. He,
I get that.
yeah.
I get that.
I'm surprised you haven't found the video of him singing "Teenage Dream" to the crowd.
I've heard
in the
about that. I didn't find it though. I didn't look it up.
Teenage Dream. And you're just like, what?
Was there anything else about Kushida you had to say?
I just like Kushida, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him back. I really like this edge and this attitude he's got. Was there anything else about NXT specifically you wanted to get to? I was kind of leading the charge on the AEW stuff, so I'll let you lead this NXT one.
Oh, please don't do that to me.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's like...
Did you watch Io versus Shotzi?
No, I am happy to see that Io is at that like kind of main event role. Like hell yeah, like Io or Shotzi's getting to that area, and I was getting nervous because it was a lot of Shotzi and that fucking Tank and Robert Stone, and so done. But I'm happy to see Shotzi with Io. You know.
I felt like this match was going to be, and then it actually absolutely was in every way. This match was designed not to make Io look good. It was not designed to make Io look bad. It was designed to make Shotzi look like a viable contender for the title.
And they did that well.
Yeah, they did it 100%. Yeah. This match was designed in every way to bring Shotzi up a tier while leaving Io on the same level, effectively. So Io is really like carrying Shotzi through this one to make her look like $1,000. I like Shotzi a lot. I like Io a lot. My only concern for it is we haven't had any classic Shotzi matches. Every time Shotzi comes out, everyone goes, "Oh, this is good. I like her." Yeah, but no one's saying like, cool. Did you watch that match? No one's saying sit down and watch Shotzi matches. You know what I mean? I think it's a little quick to be putting her up towards that title area. I just do. I don't know if Shotzi versus Rhea is going to be a classic match the way that an Io versus Rhea definitely would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, maybe in a sense what you do here is kind of like when John Cena goes out and faces Kurt Angle and does something impressive. Or when Jeff Hardy has a match with Undertaker. Yeah, he ain't going to win it. You know that. But this isn't a match that's going to make Undertaker look like shit. This is a match to make Jeff Hardy look viable. You know?
Yeah.
And for the long term of it, yeah. Have a match where you know they're not going to beat the champ. They might have another match with them, but they're not going to go much further. But what it does is it makes them look like, oh shit, okay, I can see why they're here.
Yeah, Shotzi was definitely put next level on this one. And the thing is, the Shotzi's character is so, like, it's so thought through. You know what I mean? Like, she's got her character down pat. I think that her in-ring needs some tweaking as she goes, and I think she'll get there as long as you keep putting her with people like Io, get her in the ring with even Mercedes Martinez could probably teach her a lot. Like, I think that she's definitely on her way up, and I think this definitely elevated her up a whole level. Awesome. Really cool to see. Like I said, I like them both a lot. I just, let's see, Judgment says in the chat, Shotzi hasn't had any singles pay-per-view match yet. That's where the epic matches for NXT happen typically. Yeah, but this could have been one. Io versus Shotzi. They had plenty of time. This just was. It was a match where you walked away and said, "Oh, Shotzi's a star. Shotzi's going to be, she's a higher tier now." But I don't actually hear people saying, "Watch this match. This match is an epic battle." You know what I mean? It's just she was made to look very, very good, and I think that that's okay. And like you said, I think there's absolutely a place for that. I just hope she gets a few matches in between before we see her in the title realm again. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think she's got some growing to do, but I think that she's got that star power just looming right there, just waiting for her to grab it, and that's what I want, is for her to grab it and her to shut me up quick. I want to be on the other side in like 2 matches and be like, well, we just had a fucking classic Shotzi match. I think everyone needs to watch. Like, that's what I want. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. I think, like, I think what they're trying to do is they're doing it well, is keep building your women's division, keep expanding it, because people will move around and move up, and you can't, have a super dominant champion and this kind of revolving circus of 5 people. Like, I think, in a sense, they see what's happened on Raw and SmackDown, where we're getting to a point where it's kind of weird with people, and you're not seeing some talent, and you're seeing some talent too much or in these weird ways. Yeah, let's keep building people so you see people who are competitive. You're like, oh shit, okay. I'm not saying Lacey Evans, or I'm not saying Mia Yim's gonna take the title, but I can see why you need Mia Yim's there.
Yeah, for sure. Fabtina says, I feel like Shotzi's a hot topic character for me. I'm talking about the store, I'm imagining. Says, I lean more towards Ruby Riott because I also appreciate her in-ring work. And I feel that Shotzi is so in my face, and I want her to calm down and just be a badass. And then asked if Judgment feels that she's ready for a singles pay-per-view match, and Judgment says, I think she needs one, to be honest. I think she's ready. And I think that she could be ready, and I think that she could surprise us when she gets there. But I do think that if she gets a singles pay-per-view match and it's killer, I do think it's going to be kind of a surprise, a good surprise. I don't think people are seeing it. He says not necessarily a headliner. Yeah, I don't think it's got to be. I don't know who you put her in the ring, which I don't know who. I really think that her and Mercedes could have something. I don't know why. My gut tells me that'd be something special.
I like that, but then I feel like, would that be a continuation of this fucking Robert Stone thing?
That's fine. That's fine. That's perfect, actually. That's better. Because there's a reason to put them together where Mercedes been having issues. She's, couldn't beat Rhea. She could get a win over Shotzi or lose against Shotzi too. And now you can start having a breakdown between Robert Stone and Mercedes. And Mercedes is the one who hired Robert Stone to say, hey, you need to get me matches. I worry about one thing. And if he's like, hey, you're not getting it done in the ring, you can start a whole thing there. And now you get Mercedes and Aaliyah. And what I think that Mercedes has that she can offer is years and years of experience to teach these young talent big things before she gets scooped up by Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
So I'm actually okay with that. And actually, I think that's perfect. Yeah, let that be an extension of Robert Stone in that. As much as I don't like Robert Stone, he's got to be used as a utility. This is a way to do it.
I get you. I like everything there except for his ass being there. And I get that. It's just, fuck.
Yeah, he's a heel, so it's okay that we hate him.
Well, yeah, my thing is, like, I don't like, you can't be it's weird to have the company that's so pushing Jeff Hardy in this positive way of growth, and then you have fucking Robert Stone in one of the shittiest interpretations of somebody drinking around. It's like, okay, this is bad. This isn't funny. This is pathetic.
I don't know about any of that. I know a lot of people have talked about how they thought Robert Stone was a Tony Khan knockoff or parody or whatever they want to say. I've seen nothing or have witnessed anything that leads me to believe that to be any form of the truth other than rumors. Just because from what I can see about Tony Khan, he's much geekier than Robert Stone is.
Yes.
I don't mean that in a mean way. But yes, I think that it would be nice to see Shotzi in a pay-per-view match against Mercedes Martinez and see something cool there, because I think that, I think she's right on the cusp of getting it. You know what I mean? I think there's going to be an aha moment in that ring, and I think that could be the one that does it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Did you see the Balor promo?
I did not.
Really cool video package they did with Balor. Really exciting. We don't know who he's going up against, right? No, because there's going to be... Yeah, no, we don't. I'm looking at the number one contender matches. The Gauntlet Eliminator match is what they're going to have to figure out who's going to be the number one contender for Finn Balor. Balor cut an awesome promo with a video package. It's definitely worth watching. I'm always excited about more Balor stuff. Dude, I love him as the champion. I don't know what anyone's problem is who's complaining about it. They're way off. He's awesome and believable and, needs to be a threat. I think he needs to beat the next 4 people until Karrion comes back and build towards something there. Did you see Breezango defend their title?
I didn't see it, but I like Breezango, so anytime Breezango.
This is one where, like, I kind of had to, like, step away during their entrance so I could give it a shot, because their entrance pulls me out of it so fast, dude. Second I can figure out that it's them, I immediately look away or leave the room. Otherwise, I'm not going to watch the match because I just won't. So I missed the beginning of the match, but the whole last half of the match was really, really good. Really well put together. I thought it was funny. I just wanted to bring it up. At the end of the match, Wade Barrett says that was Carnage from the word go. And because of his accent, I was positive he said that was garbage from the word go. And I was like, whoa. It's like, why would he say that? Yeah.
God damn it, Wade.
I was like, dude, I'm not even that bad to the guys I don't like. Like, jeez.
You would say that to me. Damn it.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have we been on here and just been like garbage from beginning to end, absolute trash? Well, I mean, I guess the Lashley wedding was one, but apart from that, that was unanimous. I can't be held accountable for that. Yeah, Judgment, I'm afraid I have some bad news. That was garbage from the word go, and everyone's like, Jesus. Let's see. Kyle O'Reilly. I really like this guy's presence right now. I know that. Go ahead.
I like Kyle O'Reilly.
He's amazing.
I'm excited to see him kind of get put up.
Mm-hmm. He's separating. He doesn't look as generic anymore. He was looking a lot like a generic avatar. Like you would just open up a picture, like a coloring book, and you'd have a dude who looked kind of like Kyle O'Reilly because he looked so nondescript. I like the look with the beard. I like his new hairstyle. Even the way he's dressing is making him stand out a little bit more. It's giving him a visual personality, a visual cue. But I'm really liking his presence. So I don't know if you caught this or not, but Jake Atlas challenged Ciampa to a match. Ciampa attacks Jake Atlas in the parking lot, and Kyle O'Reilly shoos Ciampa away. Like, dude, what are you doing? You have a match next week with him anyways to get it in the ring. You don't have any business being a jerk, effectively. So Kyle O'Reilly is the one guy in Undisputed Era who's saying, like, why is everyone being so mean? And everyone else is all like, fuck him. But I really like O'Reilly's presence. I also think the coach is here. Coach coming through. Cheers, Coach. Thanks for coming in. And guys, if you're listening to this on a podcast, if you just come through on twitch.tv/wrestling on the rocks while we film live, we put up our schedule on wrestlingontherocks.com. All of the links are there. How you can subscribe for free and all of that stuff. You can be part of the show too, just like the coach and Judgment. I like that O'Reilly's presence comes off like the kind of dude who doesn't tell his friends that he's been winning karate competitions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I'm a badass. It's known. I'm not gonna, I'm not.
But he doesn't even tell his friends. Like, yeah. It's the kind of thing where you go over to your friend's house and you see a bunch of trophies in the case, and you're like, dude, are you like a 4-stripe black belt? He goes, oh yeah, I got to on the weekends and stuff. But dude, check out this new Xbox game I got. And you're like, what?
Yes.
Like,
no, we're doing this. No, I'm good, boss. What's up?
Yeah. Nah, don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about that. But that's kind of like the presence he has, the way he just kind of the way he carries himself, really loose and confidently. It just comes off as the kind of dude who's like, dude, I could probably spin kick your head right off, but I'm gonna give you the opportunity to just be chill. Like, Coach agrees with Kyle looking like a generic avatar.
We can just end this. We don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, man. Don't make me beat the shit out of you. Come on.
Yeah.
But I'm really liking that. I'm liking that about O'Reilly.
Hell yeah. I support it. Let's see. What else do we have on here?
Let's see. So, apart from the Gauntlet Eliminator match, which is a new match style that William Regal... Yeah. God, dude. I've been having so many strokes lately.
And then you drank wood polish.
I drank wood polish, dude. And I'm going to tell you, dude, honestly, about 20 minutes after that, I was like, oh, man, I'm going to puke now. But I got through it.
No.
Didn't happen.
Oh.
I'm telling you.
Go off air.
Yeah. Hey, just talk through on this one.
Stop making me.
Play the intro out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute you both.
She's going to mute me for doing a cartoon.
I'm going to mute all you guys. No one needs that sound effect. You got a podcast too. Jeez.
It's not even how it sounds. It's usually more of like just kind of like gurgling.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Stop. I'm
Don't
going
do
to
it.
mute you, I swear.
She'll cut us off. I'm going to find the Eliminator Gauntlet match rules right now. Oh, Casey and Kaden against Zia Lee and Jessie Kamea. I really liked that match, dude. And Zia Lee's looking... Dude, she's looking like a fucking warrior. She looks incredible right now and believable. As soon as she came out, I was like, she could murder all of them, I think.
I'm glad for that because I feel like when she looked great at the Royal Rumble, I was like, oh, this is cool. Who's this person? And
yeah,
then
exactly.
Like, oh, they walk out and clap. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. What else do you do? Yeah, I get it. You do things, and then it's like, oh yeah, like you as a badass. Keep being a badass, you.
Yeah, 100%. Dude, Thatcher versus Damian Priest was fucking killer. Man, I'm not seeing the rules on this thing, but there's a Gauntlet Eliminator match they're doing for the #1 contender spot. I think it was like every 4 minutes someone enters and the last person standing effectively is the winner. So it's an elimination match, but with people being added to it as you go. So kind of like Royal Rumble meets Gauntlet match.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I like the idea of it. I do think that if you're having, I think it's 5 people are going to be in the match, ultimately 4 people being separate. So you're looking at least 20, 30 minutes just to get everybody into the ring.
I
that
really
doesn't sound
want
bad.
Bronson Reed to win it.
Do you want Bronson Reed versus Finn Balor, though?
Yeah. I want
Do you
them
think
to
Bronson
kind of...
would take it?
No, I don't think he'd take it, but it would leave him strong. And I'm okay with that. Like, I think he's showing a lot up. Who else? I mean, the obvious one is it's Adam Cole or, Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa, which that would be cool, but I don't know if I want anyone to take the belt off Balor that quick. So Bronson Reed could go, lose, look great, and then kind of be there waiting in the wings to go later on, He then goes and gets the U.S. title. Okay, awesome, and goes up. But he looks strong the entire time because you're, building him up.
Yeah, he could be the person to upset Priest. I could see that.
Damn right.
Judgment says Zia Lee, in my opinion, has so much upside. She'll be huge in the next 18 months. I agree completely. And I think that maybe that's what I was trying to say is we haven't seen her in a while. Last time we saw her, we're like, oh, it's an interesting gimmick. She's coming out and posing interesting, and she kicks really mean and kicked off Aaliyah's nose. And then now she came back, and I was like, she's a star. She's going to be incredible. And even Fabtina mentioned in there, she's always posting her workout stuff. And I see a lot of that too. And it's not just like her posting herself jogging on treadmills like some people do. She's in there kicking heavy bags in half. And you're like, what? So, yeah, 100%. I think she's got a ton of upside. I think she could be a huge, huge star. Let's see. 2 men will start in the ring. Every 4 minutes, another competitor will enter. The only way to do this is pinfall submission, last man standing. Yeah. So.
So Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, it's basically the Elimination Chamber.
Cool.
But without the chamber.
We don't know. They could say, and it's gonna be in a steel cage.
I hope before the music plays, it plays the Elimination Chamber sound, but nothing's happening. Everyone's looking around real confused. Boom, 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 boom.
Is it deliberate that it sounds like Jaws? Because whenever I hear it, I'm like, Jaws?
Dude, it's always going to be Jaws. Always going to be Jaws. What do you think about them doing a women's battle royal to get the number 1 contender for that title?
Do they have enough women?
They got a ton of women in NXT, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm like, cool, but I always will ask this because we've had a couple of these before and say, oh, cool, I get the old timers, but some of this feels a lot more like we're stacking people because we don't have enough people to do this.
I think there's also women there's people that we just don't see.
Regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're in there. They're in there for sure. I mean, it's how they did the last number 1 contender. I guess I don't know how else you do it with
I'm never gonna
without
say
just
no
coming
to a
out and
battle royal.
challenging. You said what?
I'm never gonna say no to a battle royal. A battle royal is always great. I just prefer a Royal Rumble style because I like people coming out.
I think I want a different way to determine number 1 contender. I think I prefer gauntlet matches, but I feel like even then what I don't like about either one of those is none of them feel like a fair decision to say the number 1 contender. With Battle Royal, you're just not the last person thrown out. You know what I mean? The other person, the people who lost didn't lose because they were worse wrestlers. They lost because of weird flukes and flips and one move. It wasn't because they were, outdone. And with a gauntlet match, the person who gets in first, you're like, well, they've been wrestling for an hour and a half. Of course the last person's going to have a good shot. I don't know. I just want a different way to determine who's going to be the number 1 contender.
I'd like a gauntlet match where the heel started it and won it, and it was that doesn't happen often because it's often you position a babyface in the beginning, they go through look badass, but I'd like what they tried to do with Shayna, but where it's more frightening. You know what I mean? They just look scary as shit. I don't know. I'd be okay with that. You can't do it a lot, but shit, have somebody almost like a Goldberg or someone who just beats the shit out of people and then they're waiting. Like Steve Austin at the Rumble where he's but not he was a babyface, but oh shit. I'm cool with building up fear in someone.
That's true. Coach says Zia Lee is his second favorite NXT Zia. He prefers Zia Brookside. And Judgment says he'd like to see them do a G1 round robin, make it last a few weeks. I think it's a cold thing to say. I think that's harsh. I don't think the round robin didn't make any sense to me when they were doing it for the NXT title. But I would even a traditional tournament with like 8 people involved, I think would also make sense to me. But okay, and they're gonna boil it down to one person who will go against for the title, and that could be a couple of weeks. It seems like such a rushed way to get to number one contender.
I played a high school sport that literally was nothing but round robin tournaments to decide how to win, and I still don't know how the fuck they work. So I never like them, and I just look at the G1. Cool, people are having matches, and at some point arbitrarily someone is winning. Hi.
You're a jerk, dude. Because when I asked Kevlar to explain how the round robin tournament went, you threw a fucking fit. You got all upset that I didn't ask you about it.
Yeah, because I wanted to be an asshole to you. Do you not understand how this works? You give me enough shit for fucking years. Occasionally I want to try and give it back. It just doesn't work out.
That's a good point.
I'm not smart.
Coach says like they did for the CW title. Yeah. I mean, I think anything other than Battle Royal at this point, I don't know. I'm not against it. Like you said, I like watching the Battle Royals, but I very rarely feel confident. Yeah, a raffle would be dope.
A fucking raffle.
They get
Have
a
it be
signed
like
8 by
it's
10
a series,
as
a series of matches. You win, you get a ticket in the raffle. And then you know what? You could have had amazing matches, but who gives a fuck because it's a raffle.
Or who survives the Raw Underground?
Raw Underground fights for it. That'd be gnarly, dude.
Underground street race.
Mario Kart. They just do it on up, up, down, down.
Yeah.
Do a Mario Kart tournament, up, up, down, down. Winner gets number one contender shot for the actual women's title.
Farting contest. Wait, why is Tamina here? Farting contest. Oh,
yeah.
shit.
She never misses one. You didn't know that.
Yeah.
I really like the pairing of Drake Maverick and Killian Dane.
Yeah.
Judgment says some sort of tournament, just something that's not a fatal 4-way, 5-way, 18-way, or battle royal. Yeah, I think a traditional tournament would be cool. Or even for NXT, right? For NXT, because you do things differently than the main roster stuff, do Queen of the Ring. And the Queen of the Ring gets a title shot.
Round Reuben. And it's you lose, but then you have to go into an eating contest against other losers. That way we're guaranteed Bronson Reed will win it. Because Thick Boy. And you eat Reuben sandwiches.
Judgment says Sarah Logan wins farting contest. What we actually know is true. We've seen it on the ride-alongs, if you guys are familiar with the WWE Network. And Coach says, I like what they did when Razor won his first IC title. Battle Royal to the last two. Those two fight for a title shot. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Split the difference. Hey, we'll have a match, but after we do a Battle Royal because we love Battle Royals. That's not a problem.
Maybe do a Battle Royal, but do like one of those Japanese deathmatch ones where at various intervals the ring explodes or some shit.
That'd be good. Whoever survives an actual explosion. Fabtina says that they like Ruby Riott screaming to Sarah Logan, "What is wrong with your ass?" Been there. Dude, I really like the pairing of Drake Maverick and Killian Dane.
I'm still giggling at Ruby Riott to Sarah Logan. What is wrong with her ass?
It's true. It's in the ride-along, dude. Watch it. Go find... There's a couple things. There's 2 ride-alongs with the Riot Squad and a table for 3 with the Riot Squad, and those are must-watch. You got to watch them.
Okay.
This is why you have the network.
Yeah, this is the point of the network.
I like the pairing of them because I like seeing... I like seeing you both on TV and not in the shit you were in. So... I like seeing you get attention. I also kind of we need to see Drake on TV more because it kind of felt like a work that they fucked the ending up on. You know what I mean?
I don't think so, but yeah, I get what you're saying. 100%. A lot of people think that.
I don't think so, even though it makes more sense.
It makes a lot of sense, but I'm not buying it. It makes a ton of sense, not buying it. You know what also makes a ton of sense? Flat Earth shit. It all makes sense the way they say it, not buying it. Because I also think about things after the fact.
Hear me?
Okay. I hear you, dude.
You can't hear me. Wonderful.
I can hear you, dude.
We can hear you.
Can you not hear me?
Stop.
What's he doing?
You're about to.
Oh,
I was thinking about something.
Damn it, I was in my own head, I was enjoying my own show to myself.
That's the worst. Judgment says Killian and Drake is the better version of Enzo and Cass, and I think that's 100% it. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, why do I like these guys together so much? I think that's what it is. I think it's exactly what it is. Dude, they did announce. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's a less criminally version.
Yes. Just an honest living version.
Yeah. Like
They announced that there's going to be a takeover October 4th. What do you think?
Nice. I'm cool with it. I'm down. I feel like when you mention Enzo and Kaz, looking back at them, they had a great pop, but damn, like it just, I think they have not aged one. I'm not saying it in the sense of like all the shit that's happened to them, but like you watch them like, yeah, this is really predictable. I think I'm just like, I feel like I'm watching this waiting for them to say the thing, and I'm like, yeah, they said the part of the song I like.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You're just waiting to sing along. Judgment says that's his
Play it.
anniversary. No. No. I think there's not a better way to celebrate your anniversary than a takeover. I don't want to pretend that I'm the first person to say this because anybody who's a shield knows that Sam Roberts talked about it today on his podcast, but I did think a very similar thing, so I don't want to pretend like I didn't think about it or talk about it either. But them having October takeover does make me wonder if they're doing takeover Thunderdome, because last we heard their contract ended sometime in October, right, for the Thunderdome for the Amway Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they do that, it could be cool. Especially, you know what's going to suck, though? They do a Thunderdome NXT with no Karrion Kross. Imagine that entrance in a Thunderdome.
I thought you didn't like his fucking entrance.
What do you mean? What? I haven't seen it in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, but you've not said a lot of positive about it outside of the Thunderdome.
I've been saying it lacks the Thunderdome.
No, you've not. You said this is long, singing. Like you were pumped, and then you're like, okay, I guess we're doing that. Like you were let down. You were a kid on Christmas getting socks about his theme. Don't try and make it sound better, because you know what? I haven't seen these socks in this fucking shoe.
Yeah, dude, new shoes does it every time. I'm telling you, Karrion Kross in the Thunderdome, that'd be it right there. Can you imagine the fog coming out from the dome screens? The way the pyro goes off in the middle of it, just like fog coming up and bellowing over all of them. Whew. Oh, that'd be so good. But I did say I wondered if part of my issue with their entrance is that Scarlett comes off really weird lip syncing, and I wondered if it would play different in a larger arena. If it wouldn't look so obvious and over the top lip syncing.
You know what would make it better is if they came out and just didn't
Were the
do
Fiend?
It.
Oh.
Yeah, no, or just didn't do it. You know, maybe she came out and had a mask on, because that'd be cool. I'm not saying she's bad. I'm just saying, hey, that'd be a cool chance to wear like a nifty mask, because then you don't have to fucking sing. And we'd be like, oh wow, she sounds like that. Why doesn't she sing it? And then you just kind of.
But Ciampa's got the mask.
They could have other people wear masks too. I like that Ciampa's mask is Paul Gray's mask. Well, not Gray's mask. Fucking Joey Jordison's mask from Slipknot.
That's true. And I like his little braids in his beard now. Every now and again, they do a change to their look just enough to I'd be like, you guys wanted a new action figure. I get it.
Yeah.
You want that new action figure. Looks good, though. Now you can have the action figure with the Ciampa braids in the front of the beard. Comes with a mask accessory, because they're like, well, what's the elite figure going to come with if you get an elite figure of me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder how much they do in the back where they're like, okay, and then my figure will come with this if I start doing this thing. Like Bronson Reed's toy has to come with a hand that looks like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think that's like the New Day really just truly developed that. Like, we just come out with different fucking gear enough. They have to make more special editions of this. And we get
well, they talked about that on their podcast. I know you heard. They talked about that 100% of the reason that they wore the splashy colors they did was because they wanted their action figures to pop so kids would want it. So if they got an action figure, kids would be like, that's a bright, fun-looking toy. I want that one.
Yeah.
And Judgment says Ciampa braids are better than Sheamus braids. And, dude, you can't argue that. There's, like, no argument.
Yeah.
Although the Ciampa mohawk is nothing to write home about.
It's because he's been going bald for a long time, so I don't.
He's bald. He doesn't. It would be only like a half hawk. It would come up to like just part of the back of the head.
Like we've seen pictures of him with hair, because he had hair when he was a lawyer for WWE at one point.
He's like the opposite of Kazarian.
Yeah.
He played a lawyer in one of their skits a long time ago.
Yeah, he's good bald. Like, he looks scary bald. He looks menacing bald and with no body fat. Yeah.
He looks prison.
Yeah, Sheamus looks okay with the mohawk. He just doesn't need all the other goofy shit.
He needs that hat. That Peaky Blinder hat I'm all about. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else really going on in the NXT world, though.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Hold on.
Did anyone have anything to say about NXT UK?
NXT UK came back today. Went ahead and watched it. Good matches, like you would expect. Noam Dar versus Ivan. Is that his name? I'm about to say
Russian guy?
Yeah.
Ilian.
Yeah. Ilian.
Yeah.
Noam Dar versus Ilian was the main event, and it was tremendous. It was really good. The new woman referee in NXT UK was phenomenal. I watched her. She was in I don't remember the names of the women that were fighting. I want to say it was Isla versus something. Isla Dawn versus Valkyrie. And I was watching the women ref because it was the first time I'd seen her, and I was thinking about the primetime ref who did the NWA show over the weekend. And I really liked this woman. Really impressed me. I liked how she was loud and you could hear her giving direction to the wrestlers. Because on that NWA one, dude, I was watching clips of it, and the referee is mouthing words and not saying them. And it's like, dude, it's a silent room. We know when you're not actually talking. Because you can hear the wrestlers say things quietly, and then you see the referee going. And you're like, what are you doing?
I think it's Becky the Ref.
Becky the Ref?
I think.
Could be. At Becky the Ref, potentially.
Oh.
But she did an awesome job. Really cool. Really excited to see her do more stuff. And I thought everyone just did a good job. And their venue that they put up, their indoor arena, as it were, with no crowd, looks really good, dude. It looks slick. And hearing Nigel on commentary, so nice.
Oh, and I was wrong. It's Ilya, not Ilian.
Oh, okay. Ilya.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry.
I think next week we're getting Piper Niven versus Kaylee Ray for the women's title, which will be pretty cool, I think.
Nice.
It's also a Heritage Cup.
And Heritage. There's something going on with the Heritage Cup. I don't know much about it, but it has something to do with Pete Dunne.
He's going to just return for a Heritage Cup tournament drawing.
Yeah, a drawing for a cup. So it sounds like they're going to have some form of a tournament, and he's going to get his placement in that tournament or his entry, and people will see him for the first time since he relinquished his tag team titles when he was a broserweight. But I thought it was cool. I'm glad that they're back. It was neat to see. They piped in audio noise in one of the more awkward ways, I think. It just seemed so sudden. Like, there was, like, no murmuring. It was just all of a sudden, like, a cheer and then went away. And it was, like, it came off really laugh tracky. And I was like, whoa. What was that?
What did you think about their overall setup? Because this is the first time in 6 months that they had a show. Like,
Yeah, like I said a couple minutes ago, their new look I thought was really good. I like the arena. I like the way that the arena was set up. You know, like, it looked nice. They did a good job with it. I don't know what else to say about it. I wouldn't change a thing, I guess, unless you could have crowds.
I'm cool with that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just happy to see more wrestling. Like, by the way,
Yeah,
I'm
the
also
British
like,
stuff is always so good, dude.
Yeah, I really want Ilya to get to the U.S.
I really want. I know they've been hinting at it a little bit here and there with their, even on NXT, the idea of Finn Balor versus Walter, and I know they both said they want to work together. I can't wait for that, for when it actually happens. I know Walter says he doesn't want to move to America, so he'll always be NXT UK. But I'm all on board for the appearances back and forth, so we can get some of these matches done. You know.
Fund his private plane. It's cool. I'm cool with it. Walter. We need more Walter here.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think I had anything else about NXT though.
Yeah.
Or NXT UK.
I think we had a good tight show. I like this format. Let's keep doing this.
Yeah, I like the idea of being able to like take the time to joke and break down and talk about things a little more clean cut this way. Really appreciate everybody who came through the chat. Judgment and Coach, you're my dudes.
Yo.
Find us at wrestlingontherocks.com. Give us a little follow. Give us a subscribe. If you're listening on podcast, give us that rate and review. If you're watching us on Twitch, go ahead and hit that little, put the I in subscribe or the I in following. And you can put the no in notifications if you don't want to watch all of the shows, but they're there. So you'll be able to find us on Thursdays and Tuesdays live on Twitch, and that means that on Wednesdays and Fridays you can find the podcast up on anywhere where you find your podcast. Guys, that's last call. Cheers.
Boom. Have a good night.